You don't have to be in real estate 5 years to have an
Exactly.
incredible income. You have the opportunity in Atlanta to have the possibility to make 10 to 20,000 every day. Why would you want to miss that opportunity?
Hello, Solid Source. I'm very excited to introduce you to Andrew Lacey today. Andrew, welcome to Solid Source.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here today.
It's so good to see you again.
It's my pleasure, actually. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Well, y'all, Andrew has coached many, many, many real estate agents through the years. What year did you start coaching?
26 years ago, 1996.
Oh, my goodness. And when did we meet? Probably around 2000.
I was just wondering that. I was thinking that this week.
7-ish, 2007.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. But I can say that Andrew is amazing, and he takes your business from here to here if you want to. Of course, he doesn't do the work for you, but he also doesn't let you make excuses to yourself. Not that you would do that, but Andrew, I love your style, and I can just say, y'all, if you want to get into the ring, because that's what they're doing when they're getting up with Andrew Lacey. But love your coaching, love your 2-day programs, and regardless of, even if somebody just spends our 2.5-hour training this week with you, it can change their lives if they adopt your habits.
I always tell people I may give you 50 points, but it only takes 2 or 3 to change. Small changes can change your life.
Exactly.
Small changes, how you think, how you show up, what you say, who you call, who you talk to, just how you get up in the morning and tell yourself it's going to be a great day.
Exactly.
I've had more people say my life changed when I expected something to happen instead of just waiting for something to happen. So I'm excited I get excited anytime I get in front of someone who would like to have a different business, because that's what real estate really is. It's more than everybody's an agent. I try to help people to run a true business and have an income, not an if-come, an income. So,
Not if come. Well, you know what you do is you give people confidence, but you also give structure, and step by step, you've got unbelievable scripts, but the way that you help people overcome objections comfortably, that's the word, because you give people confidence by role playing. It's not just, oh, here's scripts, why don't you practice in the mirror? I mean, it truly is unbelievable the confidence that someone can get just from being with you for a few hours, much less in your coaching programs and in a 2-day seminar.
yeah. Have you been with me all day today? Because we were role playing. I did a coaching call from 7:30 to 8 this morning, and then at 9 I have four role playing days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I got on the call and was listening to this morning. I was listening to people right here from Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Agents from Atlanta. And I said to one of them, I said, he's up at Buford. I said, in the last 4 years, his income has gone from 100 to 400,000.
My stars.
And I want to tell you this. He sounded like when I met him, he had marbles in his mouth. and now he is just as smooth and transitional. And he got a listing yesterday. He got 3 appointments on Friday. And he says it's a different world. But it is role playing. It is getting better. I don't understand why people, if they would just get better at a couple of things, their whole life can change. If they get better at showing up, if they get better at I'm going to go deep right here.
Let's go deep.
What you think is what you're going to get.
Yep.
So 3 words that I've written a book called Think. I'm not selling it. It hasn't been released. But it's think, then say it, then do it.
Yes.
But most people either do it and never think, or they think and they never put it into action.
Exactly.
So it's really, truly. In 91, when I came back from Salt Lake City, my life changed in 1991. I had never made $50,000. I had never had 27. I had 27 closings. I averaged between 15 and 27. But when I came back in 91, after seeing all the top producers from across the United States, I said, I can be one of those. And when I got up in the morning, I was crazy back then. Now I'm eccentric. Y'all know the difference, okay? Crazy, you're broke. Eccentric, you're rich, okay? So that's the only difference. But I came back and I started my day every morning. Every morning, someone needs my help. It's going to be a great day. Someone needs my help. It's going to be a great day. And I'm the best person to help them. And also, what I called one of the books I wrote is called "It Happens in the Shower." believe it or not. Visualizing my emotional goal. And if I could tell anybody anything, I know I'm skipping all around, but to dream big and never, 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 never give up on a dream. And my emotional goal was to walk across the stage at the Coldwell Banker National Convention and to think about I was going to have to go from 27 to 120. I was going to have to do it in a market of less than 240,000 people. And I was going to have to outproduce 63,000. I never thought about the market. I never thought about how many agents. And I never thought I had to do 4 times more. I just knew if I got up every day and did the right things, it would happen. And lo and behold, in 1993, I was the 7th largest producer in the United States out of 63,000 agents. So I try to tell people every day that I meet, if I can do it from a little town in Spartanburg, South Carolina, what can you do? You can do anything. You can achieve anything. I want to go one story more if you don't mind. I had an agent that I met the first day in real estate. He had 14 closings the next year, 44 the next year, 60-something the next year, 84, and his 5th year, 100. And he did 100 3 years in a row, and he kind of got burnt out. And on April of 2 years ago, on a coaching call, I said, when you get out of bed in the morning, say it's going to be a great day and someone needs your help. And would you believe in the last 2 years, see, he was stressed over every day. He had 20-something pending. He had this seller's he was carrying the burdens of everything. And I said, you don't put termites under the house. Quit stressing when it falls through. You can't control mortgages. You can't control sellers and buyers. You can only control what you do.
Exactly.
Do you know he had 100, in less than 2 years, he went from 100 closings to a year before last, 148, and last year, 199 in Spartanburg.
Wow.
Think about, and it was all because every morning he gets up and he says this, God is in charge. Thank you, Lord, for everything you give me. This is what he says. His name's John Frable. He's in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's going to be a great day, and someone needs my help.
Yes.
So think about something I'm said in the 1990s, people say today, and it affects their day. And I'm telling you, what you think is what you're going to get.
That's right. And it's the direction that you're going to go in.
Absolutely.
I know. Well, Andrew, the numbers of the before people meet you and after they spend time with you through coaching and your seminars, they speak for themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what I love, though, is I love your no-nonsense attitude as well. And you just tell people, hey, I can tell you, but you're the one that has to do it.
Absolutely. You know, and I can tell some people will, some people won't.
Exactly, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
But I tell people all the time. In fact, I was in Palm Beach last week, and a lady was from here, and she had somebody she was working with, and they told her to quit calling people in Palm Beach and call people here. And I'm going, you do not have to call people other than 20 miles around your house, and I can give you all the business you want. But they were trying to do. I told her, I said straight up front, you have the ability to close 50 transactions in the next 12 months. And she says, so guess what? On Friday, she got a listing. Yesterday, she got a listing. And today, she joined coaching, coming down the road. She's coming down the road. And she goes, I've been trying to do everything. And listen, first of all, people think I'm against technology. I'm not. Just because I have a flip phone doesn't mean you need one. In fact, I have 2 of them, okay? But you have to understand, I have a flip phone to remind me. I learned how to communicate effectively through talking to people. And I never want to forget that it's okay to text, it's okay to email, but there's nothing like a personal call. And by the way, I'll go ahead and tell, if it's okay, that I keep hitting this microphone.
That's okay.
Okay. I'll tell them, you tell them, I'm blind. But blindness does not stop me from going forward. And you may be blind in what you need to do to have a great business. But we can always teach you how to see and how to go forward. And that's what she's saying. I tell people the truth and what it's going to take for you to be successful. And I don't hold back. I always tell people, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me. And
I would just like to say he's not joking around.
No,
you can't handle the truth. I mean, seriously, it's like you got to handle it with Andrew. But if you want those 50 closings and you had 4 or 2 or you're new or you had 10 and you want to go to 50, this is how to get there.
Michelle, it's no exaggeration. I was doing a call on Monday, and I was talking about how people have gone from 4 closings to 80, from 0 closings to 100. from 0 closings to 199, from 6 closings to 80. It's just, and again, the thing is, every one of us is capable if we just want it.
Exactly.
And we're willing to do it. But I try to tell people, wouldn't you rather work 5 days a week and make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800,000 than work 7 days a week and not knowing where your net check's coming from? And so it's a big difference. In fact, when we sold real estate years ago, the average number of closings was between 12 and 15. And nationally, the average number of closings now is 6.
Right.
And the reason that is such a huge gap of those that are successful and those that are not as successful, I call it.
Right.
So,
Or they're successful, but they're happy with doing 5 or 6 closings a year because they're taking care of a family. They have another job. It's a great supplemental income. But for the people that want to go next level, this is the way to get there.
listen,
because you keep people's
you want to
focus.
travel with me and promote me. You're doing the best job I've ever seen. I cannot promote myself
I've
as well.
seen what you do, and I will say this. The reason that we were so excited to reconnect, just to see you as well, but also, y'all. Market's changing, with there has been, and just kudos to solid source agents and all agents, for heaven's sakes, when you think about the pivots that have been required from March of 2020, that I need to start showing up this way, showing houses this way, going to closings this way, managing inspections, managing showings. There's been so many changes required. And for the people who've been successful, they have just done an amazing
Found a way.
They have found a way.
That's what it's called.
And do you know what? That's what today is.
That's it.
The interest rates, Derek and I just did a market update, Andrew, the other day, and we said, here's the thing. In February, rates were 3%, and today they're around 6%. For a $500,000 house, 20% down, that is a $700 difference a month. And you can either focus on the $700 that you could have been paying toward a new car or anything else if you bought in February. But let's not focus on that because there's nothing we can do about it. What we can say is, what if you wait now from 6 to 9% in December?
Amen.
There's never been a better time to buy than right now. There's never been a better time to sell than right now. And you better get in before all the other sellers, the sea of sellers, put their houses on the market. The higher interest rates go because there'll be fewer buyers.
You talk about interest rates. I can remember interest rates being 21%.
Listen, I was buying investment property at 14.
I sold 24 houses the first year I was in real estate because I didn't know any better that you couldn't sell houses at 21%. But something you said just now about market. I've been in real estate 40 years. I don't care how long. The market's going to change. Mm-hmm. It's going to change, and it has changed. It changes from year to year, and then some years you have that big change, and it looks like at some point in time the market's going to really change. But if I could encourage every solid source agent right now, if I could encourage you, when the market crashed in 2008, the people that got up and came to work and didn't focus on what percentage the market changed, what percentage the market went down, but continued to go to work, still had a great income.
Exactly.
Is the people that sat at home thinking, well, nothing's happening. I want to tell you something. Real estate's happening every year.
It certainly is.
I don't care. If you like my parents, they've never moved. They've lived in the same house for 50, 60 years. But guess what? They don't know a mortgage. So there's people out there, even when you say, well, gosh, the market's dropped 30%, so these people bought at the top of the market. You got to remember there's millions of people that are not at the top of the market, didn't buy at the top of the market, and have equity and still will be able to sell.
Exactly.
So you know what it is? It's a mentality.
It is a mentality. And it's like you said in the beginning, whatever you're throwing out, whatever you're saying, whatever you're speaking, that's what is going to come back to you. And, we were saying too, it's only natural for some personality types. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just natural for different personality types to be fearful, which can lead to being frozen.
Correct.
And as an agent, that means I'm not going to pick up the phone and call my sphere of influence, expired listings,
past
which
customers.
There's about to be a sea of them. That's what I mean, the past customers. Because I know that they're watching the news and it's negative. And so I don't even want to get in that conversation because I represent real estate. Wrong answer.
Please don't do that. Whatever you do.
I mean, don't do that.
But you know what? That's what people are. They have fear. And, I have people that said they have fear all the time. But you could not be more correct about. You need to call people.
You need to call people. Call people and let them feel comfortable. Give them the example that we just talked about, hey, the interest rates may be here, but they're not going down anytime in the foreseeable future. So now is a perfect time to get into a house before it changes even more, because you're going to be buying the exact same house, but paying more, or
you're gonna get less
getting a lot less house.
And that's
so let's go out this weekend.
You and I know something. People don't buy houses for price; they buy for that the payment's
correct.
So
I mean, a lot of
less
people
house
do.
they're going to get.
That's right.
And that's where you could get your buyer to go ahead and do something
That's
immediately
exactly
too.
right.
So if interest rates go up again, you can't afford as much home. But anyway,
we certainly are honored to have you, Andrew Lacey. Solid Source, I have to tell you, I mean, I've known this man and watched him change lives, change productivity. And I can tell you, I mean, you've changed my life. Even just listening to you even talk, seriously, even just 30 minutes, even just now in our time, you resonate. Everything that you say is so common sense and logical, but you say it with passion. You believe it, but you also live it, though, Andrew. You've lived it as long as I've known you.
yeah, and I always tell people when they come to a program and they leave, you think it's going to work. And see, I know it's going to work.
Exactly.
And I don't only know it because of my life being changed, going from 20 closings to 60 to 75. And then in 93, I closed 163 with 2 assistants. And then 258 the next year. And the last year I sold real estate full time, I had 312 closings. And when I wrote the program on how the Lacey way and the 5 chapters of standards, daily schedule, prospecting, listing presentations, and goals, 38 pages, not 400. When I wrote it, I was going, will people believe it? And for a few years, they said, well, you were in the Marine Corps. It only works for you. Or you're in Spartanburg.
Thank you for your service, just saying.
Thank you for yours. Thank you for yours. And I was honored to serve the President of the United States. But I want to say this now. Let's just focus on, I had an agent that went into real estate in November. Didn't even have his license yet. And his mother, that's what I love now.
I love those stories.
8 siblings of people I used to coach.
Oh, my goodness.
If a child goes into real estate, they send them to me. But I had a gray Welton from Palm Beach Gardens came in November, and he was fortunate enough to see one of the biggest producers and a manager that had been in real estate for 30 years, and they both said, if you do what this man says,
exactly.
you will never be out of business. You will have one of the greatest incomes that you can have, because my program, you don't spend money, you make money.
Exactly.
But he got his license in November. Okay, I was in Palm Beach Gardens last week. He's taken 27 listings. He's had 16 closings. He has 8 pending, and he's made $200,000 in 8 months. You don't have to be in real estate 5 years to have an incredible income. So for every new person out there, it's what you get up and do each morning. And here's the 2 words that separates those that have and don't have. I was passive for 8 years. I waited for business to come to me. We had a duty desk, and I waited for the phone to ring for that buyer calling in. And I waited for business. And then I became, and what I teach is proactive. And you just said it. At Spires, there's going to be a good many here when the market changes.
Yes, there are.
And for sale owners, I had somebody here in Atlanta. I don't know if I can say his name, but he had got an agent here in Atlanta. And he called a for sale owner on Friday, and he said he could come out, but he couldn't list. And he went out yesterday, and he met with him, and today he has a $1.8 million listing.
Wow.
A commercial agent here in Atlanta.
See, I mean, it's so incredible, but you know what? I love to circle back to something that you said about helping people. And when you wake up, just saying, that you want to be able to help somebody today, because you know what that does is it reminds you that you're looking for that person, number one. But here's the other part. I think that sometimes, and even though this comes from a good place of a great character, a great characteristic, humility, that people have. But they sometimes agents, I feel, can think, well, I don't want to be abrasive and I don't want to bother them and I don't want them to think that I'm being, in their face about selling their house and I don't want to be annoying. But what you said is right, Andrew. We are helping people. We are helping people.
I've never got to say this, but except to my inner circle. And I said, when you call somebody, and when I called them, they said, nope, we're not selling. and now you gotta wait till the end of this to understand. And I would call them back. Why would you call them back? I'd call them back because I knew at the end. And then I'd get out to the house and they go, we're not going to list with you. And I kept staying in touch and I got the listing. And then when we got an offer, it might not be exactly what they wanted, but I would recommend, never tell a seller what to, never, listen, number one, you tell a seller he needs to sign this and it doesn't get worked out, you lose his confidence forever. Mm-hmm. You always, I suggest. Mm-hmm. And a great script is, Bill, if we do not get another offer like this for a 90 to 120 days, I'll still work just as hard for you. So when you tell them if we don't get another offer like this for 100, I'm going to still work just as hard for you. They start signing. Okay, that is a script, by the way. But then here's the thing: I've never gotten to a closing table when the seller said, "I wish you hadn't called us. Wish you hadn't called us back. Wish you hadn't listed it. Wish you hadn't told us to sell it." They all said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." So from the very beginning, I know in the end what they're going to say. Mm-hmm. They just don't know it yet. And so that's why I can call them, and that's why I can follow up with them, and that's why I can recommend. Because in the end, I know I don't think I've ever had a seller. They may have got $1,000 less than they thought at closing, or maybe even two, and been upset that day. But I've never had a seller that was ever mad at me or angry with me when we finished.
Of course,
they were always happy. And this is where I think most people think that, oh, I'm bothering them, or I'm upset. You're not upsetting them.
No.
Because if you get up, like you said, if you get up in the morning and say, someone needs my help, and I'm the best person to help them. And see, I believe that with all my heart. And a little while ago I was saying, when you do something, anything, at the beginning you think it works. But after you start getting appointments and after you start getting listings and after you start having a great business, you no longer think you know. Mm-hmm. And that's where I try to get the people in life to know that this. I'm going to talk tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that. There's seize the opportunity. Michelle, you and I both know, what can people come into business and make hundreds of thousands of dollars with outlay? Seize the opportunity. But I have tracked the numbers for 2 years. Every Monday, I track numbers for the people that I work with. And every Monday, they average between $10,000 and $20,000 for the day.
Goodness.
And that's the possibility. Let me say this to every person inside of my voice. I don't care if you're new, been in real estate 5 years or 20. You have the opportunity in Atlanta to have the possibility to make 10 to 20,000 every day. Why would you want to miss that opportunity?
Exactly.
People wonder, how do you have people go from 30,000 to 360, from 50,000 to $500,000? Because they get up each morning and take that opportunity to call someone. So it's kind of like you have an opportunity, then the possibility when you set the appointment to get the listing, and then I call it the probability when you list it that it's going to sell, especially in this market. So seize the moment. And to me, anytime you're in front of someone, you have to seize that moment. Put everything else out of your mind.
Yes.
In fact, can I make a recommendation?
Please do.
Next time you go on an appointment, do not look at your phone.
No.
Do not take a call. Take 15 minutes, take 20 minutes writing out there and think about what you're going to say. Now, my presentation is scripted. Every word is scripted, but it still can be, I just sold a house like this about a week ago. Mm-hmm. Or I love this neighborhood. I've always loved this neighborhood. So if you're trying to handle a contract, handle a problem, handle a home inspection, you only get one moment for that first impression. But seize the moment. Seize the opportunity. And most of all, seize the day. We have in this business, every day is the key.
You're right about that. And Andrew, another thing that I love about your program, like you said earlier as well, agents a lot of times just feel like if they want to make the kind of money that we're talking about right now, that they're going to have to work all the time, and they're afraid that their kids are going to forget their name. And so but with your program, I mean, you help people not work on the weekends even.
Listen, I have agents that love the income,
right?
But they love me even more because they truly, this is they work 5 days a week. They work 5 days a week. And that's the business model. That's the business plan. Doesn't mean they may not negotiate a contract over the phone. Doesn't mean they're not. But they're not working all day Saturday and Sunday. And it's like I said. It's an opportunity that if you do it a certain way, you can control your schedule. You can control your income. That's what I like. You don't have to rely on this group of people
or the phone to ring. You're not waiting for the phone to ring. You are not your business level of success is not being determined by, gosh, my phone hasn't been ringing like it was.
All you got to do is make it ring and call somebody up and say, can I help you get your home sold?
Exactly.
I mean, all these scripts out there in the United States, and I've sometimes wondered, why didn't somebody just say, why don't we call them up and ask them what we really want?
I know.
Can I help you get your home sold? I mean,
exactly.
And I'm going to tell you, somebody one time said, how did you come up with that script? Well, I said, I had scripts that they were given to me. And when I called somebody and it expired one time, and she said she was never going to list again. So I threw it in the trash. And about 30 days later, I was looking through the MLS book, and guess whose house was in? Hers. And I said, she lied to me. And so me being who I am, I said, well, guess what I'm going to do? If you're in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and it expired, I'm going to call you every day, Monday through Friday. And so I couldn't say, when you plan on moving? I couldn't say that script over and over every day. When you plan on moving the next day, I said I had to come up with something new. So I said, why don't I just call you up today and say, can I help you get your home sold today? And from that, it propelled me to write 5 sentences. It's funny. I was doing a seminar years and years ago, and my son, who's 26 now, and a police officer, and served in the military, and has a little girl that only says Papa. I love Papa. So, but he got up at a seminar one time, and I said, if you will learn the 50 states in a row, I'll give you. He wanted a dog. I said, I'll give you a dog. And he got up in front of the whole 200 people in Spartanburg.
Wow.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. And when he finished, I said, so he's learned 50 states to just get a puppy. And if you could learn 5 sentences, I could give you $1 million. Okay? But you won't learn 5 sentences. Can I help you get your home sold today? Would you be offended if I just came out and took a look at it? Would you be offended? How can anybody tell you? And people don't. If you get somebody every now and then goes, yeah, I'd be offended. Then you don't need to worry about them anyway. No. But it's if so many people think scripts are. I try to tell people scripts are bad or scripts are not caring. But I wrote not recently, scripts are an effective way to communicate the truth. Mm-hmm. And every script that I have for when somebody says, will you lower your commission? And I have 3 scripts for that, or will you do this, that, there's 32 objections a seller can give you. If you master those 32 objections.
Exactly.
And I'm going to say one more thing along those lines to help your people. Don't go on I have standards of what I will and what I won't do. And one of those, talking about what we're talking about, is I will not come to the seller's house without both parties there. Because that's one objection. There's only one objection a seller can give me that I can't overcome. You know what it is? I need to talk to my spouse. Mm-hmm. And if the spouse is not there, I have to leave. So that's one of the reasons when I go to a house, I want both parties there. You can make real estate a lot easier than most people do. Most people, I tell people all the time, y'all make real estate difficult. It's not that difficult. When you can take a brand new person, and they can already have 15 closings, 16 closings in the first 8 months. Let me say this. Just the people that if you just ask them for business. I've been saying for 26 years, call your past customers. 4 years ago, I finally had a girl call them. Numbers never lie. The first year, she had 12 out of her 36 closings from past customers.
Wow.
The second year, 24 of her 40 closings were from past customers. Her third year, 34 closings out of 50-something. And this past year, she had 40 out of 80 closings.
Goodness.
Now think about this. She's calling 60 people to get 40 closings, and she's calling 5.
Wow.
But here's the whole thing. Somebody goes, well, you got to call them every 60 days. Mm-hmm. And all you have to do is say, I need your help, Michelle. I need your help. Could we role play 1 second? Would that bother you?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Let me try to help your people that won't be there tomorrow. And if you
that's so nice of you. Thank you.
If somebody says, well, I haven't called my past customer. I had one of my agents who was doing really well, and he wouldn't call his past customer. I said, well, what's the problem? He goes, well, I haven't called him in 10 years. What am I going to say? I said, I have that script. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Michelle, it's Andrew Lacey. How are you?
Andrew.
Wow, I thought you may have forgotten who I was, and I was calling to
No.
apologize. Would you forgive me? Would you find it in your heart to forgive me for not calling you and staying in touch with you, because you were such an incredible client, and I loved helping you and your family get their home, and I've really been. I'm sorry I haven't stayed in touch with you.
Thank
You don't
you,
have to say
Andrew.
your story. But I always say, would you find it in your heart to forgive me as the script? And they go, what? What do I need? I haven't stayed in touch with you. And so you never call somebody you haven't connected with for a year or two. You always reestablish contact. Shell, would it be all right if I just called you every 60 to 90 days to let you know how the market is here in Atlanta? And they say, of course. And so then the next time you call, ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Michelle, it's Andrew. I need your help.
Aw.
The market is so incredible here in Atlanta, I'm out of business. and I was calling you to see if you might know someone that might want to buy or sell a house. And normally they're not going to know someone. But see what has happened to that person, Marie Graziano in Eastleigh, South Carolina. The first year, the 12 referrals were from people she directly called. Mm-hmm. Last year, of the 40, 20-something called her to say they had somebody that knew was buying or selling. So you calling your past customer, and if you're a new agent, you could call your sphere of influence, the 200 people that you know, and just say, hey, I'm going into real estate. I'm in real estate. I need your help. You know, there's more great prospects than you can ever do business with. There are more great prospects, but most people live out of a fear of loss. And it's not enough.
Fear of being embarrassed. Fear of no. There's a long list. And
no today does not mean no tomorrow. You know how I...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do, because of all your success. I mean, look at all the people that said no that wound up being a big fat yes.
I was going to say no today means no tomorrow, and I know that because I have 3 children, but that's, you may want to cut that out.
I know. but Andrew, well, one more thing that I just want to point out is, in today's world, it's so high technology, and people call communication, being on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and communicating that way. Even texting. It's appropriate now to actually text and say, do you mind if I call you in 15 minutes? I know, but that's where we are. I would like to just say to folks, as the market starts to change, interest rates going up, fewer buyers, a lot of sellers, a lot of expired listings, this is perfect timing for you to be teaching.
This is the greatest thing in the world.
I'm just saying, y'all, Andrew Lacey, I want you to just really, I'm sure you're embracing what he's saying, oh my gosh, I want to be that person. I want to be that person.
They all can be.
However, all of them called people. They talked to people with their voice. It was not communicated. And we can't say, I did reach out. Did you call them?
That's right. And just like I said, you call them every 60 days. Right. You don't send them seeds. You don't send them pumpkins. You don't send them a text. You don't send them you call. People, I know today, technology, they have people, they don't even have their own voice. And do you know every one of the top producers, and last year I had 7 people that made over $750,000.
That's awesome.
7 people.
That's incredible.
This year I will have about 14.
Wow.
750. And it's because they got better.
Exactly.
They've gotten better. But effective communication, I could spend the rest of my life talking to you about call people. Can I show them?
Please.
Now, don't not come and see me because I show you this. and don't think it's just because I'm old. But because I learned how to talk on this, somebody the other day took a picture of me in Palm Beach. One of my entourage, one of my assistants was there, and they said, Andrew, I think those people thought you were in a museum. But you got to. Now I'm going to tell you this story. I can give you 8 people's names that they kept their iPhone, but they put everything here, for their business, their advertising, their signs. Every one of them increased their income over $100,000 in a year. And listen, when we grew up, your attitude was either positive or negative. Mm-hmm. And today, in our world, you're still positive or negative, but you're either focused or distracted.
Right.
And when this goes off, your phone goes off 100+ times a day. I was doing a program last week, and I set my phone on a table, and it vibrated, and a person in the seminar picked my phone up. And I'm going, excuse me. I said, this is what y'all used to doing. Y'all used to hearing a phone go, and she picked up my own phone. I said, y'all can't help yourself. And I promise you this, when I do seminars, it makes me sad. I can't see, but I get, you're back there doing texting when you should be focused. You're going to have that, I call it that seize the moment, when you can learn or you can help or you can change. But you can't do that when you're trying to do 10 things at one time. But, Michelle, there's one thing that I know. When a person is able, I'm trying to teach, I have a 20-year-old driver that has problems communicating. He's getting his real estate license, so I'm letting him work for me and come to seminars. But I said to him coming back from Palm Beach, I said, you have to learn how to talk. And we live in a world today where I think there's less talking. This is why the average agent last year that I worked with, they averaged for the year 49.7 closings. That's per
incredible.
Agent. That's all of them added together.
Wow.
49.7.
Even the new ones.
Even the new ones. Yep.
That's very
49,
impressive.
that was the average. And what they got better at was communicating. Technology, people think I don't believe in tech. You're wrong. I believe in tech. I think technology is great. But in the end, it comes down, can I help you get you on something?
Exactly.
And it comes out, would you like to purchase this home? You can't text and say it. You say it right there to them. And you want to, I think in the handout, it says, speak to people, see to people. Every one of us has heard STP, see to people, but it's speak to people. I spoke to a person at a J. Alexander's a few years back, and I found out he was the owner of a company in Virginia. And by me speaking to him at that restaurant that night and talking to him for 5 minutes, it generated more than $500,000.
My stars.
Here in Atlanta, there's a guy named James Walton who spoke to a lady at a Dollar Tree on a Saturday morning here in Atlanta, and he was dressed professionally, and they started talking, and she said, I have property. And he walked her out to the car, and I always tell you this, don't just give them your card. Get their number.
Exactly.
Because they might not call you back.
Right.
And she didn't call him back. He called her. Now, it took a year because of a commercial piece of property. But by speaking to one person, his check was $54,000. By speaking to one person.
By being kind to somebody, by reaching out.
Oh, he is friendly.
Right.
James Walton, he's one of the kindest people in the world. But you just, people are just, they don't speak.
They're to themselves. I mean, we've been isolated for several years, and
that's sad.
It is very sad. We won't go down the sad road.
No.
However,
But we can
Yeah,
now.
but I mean, let's us be the first one out. Really, and speaking to people, and part of that, and part of the opportunity right at this very moment with the market changing, is to call and talk to your past clients and your sphere of influence about the market. And Andrew, I just think that it's not just your scripts. It is the practicing. It's the overcoming of objections. It is a confidence that is raised. Because when people have confidence, that's truly when we know that we can help you. We know that we can help you. You're not going to ask me a question that I can't answer. And Andrew, that is it's not ammunition. It's really just every single thing that someone would need. And it's not just about memorizing it, but what I think happens is when people when people get started, truly after a few weeks, if they're really diving in, they know all of that, and then they start making calls, they're working with people, and they see, oh my goodness, it's true. No one has asked me anything that made me feel stupid or that I didn't respect their time. It really is all here. When we say back to basics, I mean, this is the basics. It is the answers to questions that people have. Yeah. But y'all, more than anything, just remember, if you're not the one helping them, they could get an agent that is just concerned about the money, just concerned about a closing, just concerned about their own schedule as opposed to accommodating the client's needs. They're not good listeners. You are. They need you. Your buyers and sellers need you to pick up the phone, and I'm so excited about all the help that you are giving.
You know, we line up so well together, and until you gain that confidence, I want to say this, and it's not faking it, but act with certainty. Mm-hmm. And I always say, act with certainty, and people will follow. If you act uncertain, they're going to question you. And again, if you have it in your heart to help people, they'll be able to tell.
Exactly.
They can tell.
They know.
the
People can
difference.
see when you are truthful.
And again, to me, I came out of the Marine Corps and I went into real estate. and so I know nothing about real estate. And I want to share to the people that's been in real estate 8 years, because for 8 years I made less than $50,000 for 8 years, and I struggled mightily. And one of the things that I love about I'm gonna speak about my program a second. When you come to my program now, just about every person that I work with is successful. You're going to sit next to someone that's doing 80 closings or 100 closings, and they love to share. They have the same heart that I do. It's hard to work with me if you're fake.
That's such a good point, Andrew. I love your calls because when y'all, when you are on a call and you're sharing, and I will say, Salters agents have always been, since 2003, so open and willing to share and help each other.
That's because of you.
Thank you. But
Michelle.
unlike some other companies where everybody's trying to save the secret sauce and not share, everyone here is so open. But I love the fact that y'all, Andrew's not just coaching in Atlanta and South Carolina. There are people that fly in from across the country. That's right.
Denver.
Just to go to these
DC,
programs.
Palm
They
Beach,
fly
Miami.
in to go.
Exactly. Never did I know somebody from Spartanburg was going to be able to do this.
But it's true. But that's how valuable it is. It doesn't matter where you are. But to be on that call and you hear, and I have to just ask you if you would share this one story. I heard it on your call that you had like 2 weeks ago, and it was so precious. And I just thought, I'm totally going to share this. It was a person, and you were so kind to him and said, I just want to respect you for delivering pizza when you were doing this part-time, and at least you were taking care of your family, and you were so respectful to him. You weren't saying, you should have just dove all the way. You were so kind. But listening to his story and how his life changed from when he met you, where his family was literally at the end of the line as far as finances, and he was just throwing it out there, just like you did, getting out of the military, trying real estate, okay?
And he had been in real estate for years. And again, the story she's talking about is a guy from Columbia, South Carolina, and he came to Charleston, and he had his license for years. He had one closing through April 15th, one. And he came and he said, I'm supposed to be here today. And I said, I'm going to help you. In 8 months, he had 36 closings.
Y'all, that just
you,
makes me want to cry.
It changed. And he is one of the most kind.
He's extremely humble
and
grateful.
Very grateful.
He's so grateful.
But again, see, he works 5 days a week, and he's already had 20-something closings this year. And again, it's what I try to tell people. It's not hard. It's just being consistent.
It is being consistent.
What you think and what you do.
And it doesn't matter how you feel. Get up and do it anyway. With a good attitude.
That's what my favorite statement is?
What?
Go to work when you feel like it. Go to work when you don't feel like it. And go to work till you feel like it. That's my philosophy.
That is true. Because whatever it is that you don't like about it, you will work it out. You will work out whatever the objections. If you feel like you've been rejected 3 times, well, keep doing it until you're not. Because once you get confident and you get smooth and comfortable, and I just want to say one thing more about how awesome you are, y'all. Andrew sees your greatness, and Andrew. The way, because your clients, the agents that coach with you, they have, of course, different personalities. Some are larger teams that are trying to just connect and go to the next level. Some are brand new agents. Some, just like you said, are stagnant. You have a full-time job. You're doing one thing, but now you want to go into real estate full-time. What I want to say is that Andrew brings the best out of you, but I want to make this point. It's already inside you. He can only bring out what's already there. And if there is a voice inside your head that's telling you that it's not already there, and maybe this is for other people because they have it and you don't, then it's that voice that you need to decide that you're not going to listen to. And if you put everything you've got into this program, because Andrew will make you believe the truth about yourself.
Put everything into it, you're still going to make a lot of money. Okay,
he will only speak the truth to you, and I'll tell you, he'll know if you're making excuses to yourself, and he will help you stop it. Okay. Because,
there's a word called for
that's
that.
What you see.
It's a word I call for every person, every one of us. I have one. You have
Everybody
one.
has.
We have one that's called a stumbling block.
Exactly.
That keeps us from going to the next level.
Right.
And until we identify it, and then we find a way to blow it up, go around it, go over it, We're going to always have that stumbling
Yes.
block. And, you know, it's
Because
funny.
we don't know that it's there. We're so used to working
Correct.
around it that we just think that's a part of life. That is a permanent fixture, and it's not.
I always love the thing. I love it when I've told somebody in a seminar 10 times and over the phone on a coaching call, or I've told them 50 times what it is. And then one day they go, you know what's stopping me? And they'll say it, and I'll go, you're right. It's like one day they wake up and I've only told them for a year. You know, I've only told them,
But they had to discover it in their own way.
The coaching call this morning, I had an agent that's came back in the program, and I told her, I said, just quit talking so much on the presentation. Quit talking so much.
On the presentation.
And the presentation.
Yeah.
And last Friday she got 2 listings, and yesterday she got a listing. So she got 3 listings in less than 5 days. And she was on the coaching call this morning. I said, what's the difference? She said, I quit talking. I said, that's amazing. I can't believe that. But you can talk. I always say you can talk yourself out of a listing.
Exactly.
You can talk too much on a presentation.
Stop it, yes.
Think about your presentation. I'm switching. I'm sorry to switch subject.
Oh, no, it's
But on
okay.
a presentation, you have an objective and a mission. Your objective is we know objectives from being in the military. You have
Absolutely.
objective. So your objective is to get the listing, but your mission is always to help the person.
Yes.
And if you can't
First.
help them, don't list it.
Exactly.
I always tell people, don't list something that you can't sell. If you can't, get somebody else to and get a referral fee, but give people the best opportunity to get their property sold. And normally it's going to be you, but when it's not you, there is always someone that can help, that can step in there.
To complement another script that you have, Andrew, it is always telling sellers the truth about the price. Okay, I know, but
Now, we don't have to right now in this last year or two.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
It keeps
It's
going
just-
up.
yeah.
But normally
Exactly.
the 7
Wherever
steps.
it is, why don't we just try $25,000 more?
And it
but,
sells.
But in a regular market,
Correct.
which we are now
Going back to.
reapproaching. Okay, here's the thing. It is scary for some of us to call expired listings and, try to get an appointment and go over, because then they say, well, I talked to somebody else and they said that they thought that they could list it for maybe, $12,000 more, $28,000.
Michelle,
And
you'll have
Andrew,
7 to 10 people come out to your house and they'll tell you 450, 475, 500. They'll tell you anything to just put a sign in your yard and get a listing, because they're marketing agents. I'm not a marketing agent. I'm a sales agent. When you hire me, you hire me to get your home sold. And when I came in your front door, I asked you, could I have your permission to be totally upfront with you? And I'd rather get up, and I scoot my chair back from the table, I'd rather get up right now and walk out of here than to mislead you and put your house on the market for a price that's not going to sell for. Do you want to get it sold tonight, or do you just want to kind of bite a limit? Or do you just want to list it again? I can get it. I can beat anybody who comes into the house and gives them an overpriced.
Y'all, but it's so
that's
true.
The magic script right there for
it
that
is,
one. Okay.
y'all, it is magic. I mean, it is that script is magic, but you give people confidence in it. And there's so many stories, y'all. I mean, so many stories from agents that I've heard from through the years where they told the truth. They went with the other person about the price, and then they actually call that agent back and say,
They do.
I want to thank you for being honest with me. And we just wasted 4 months, and now there'll be even fewer buyers.
That's correct.
With the shrinking buyer
And the
pool.
price might be lower.
That's what I mean.
And that's what you say now when the price starts to shift to go lower, is what we were talking about earlier. We can sell it here. Well, see, here's what you're going to hear. Here's what you're going to hear over the next year. Well, a year ago, we could have sold our house for $500,000.
My neighbor got $50,000
today
over
it's only
asking
worth
price.
$450. Well, let me just ask you. In a year from now, if it's only worth $400, would you rather we should have gone ahead and sold it today? Diane Bryant did that on $1.2 million at Peachtree. She went out there and he had it for $1.2 million, and she called me up and it was only worth $1 million, and I told her to say that if it's worth $1 million today. In a year from now, if it's only worth $800,000, would you wish you'd have sold it? He listed for $1 million, and they had 2 full price offers in 3 days. But again, your confidence can come from being scripted.
Yes.
And
yes.
when you go in there and you know what to say, it makes it so much easier than going in there and just by the seat of your pants.
Exactly.
And that's what the majority agents. I've been overblessed with gifts. And one of my gifts is discerning people. And one of my gifts is the ability to come up with what you need to say to somebody to get them to take action. And that's what it's all about. When you go to see someone, you want them to to take action because it's in their best interest. See, everything I just said to you was the truth.
Exactly.
It's not a script. It's just so many people say, these scripts I buy, they're just scripts. I go, yes, they're just words. But this is the truth. And when you have
That's the
40 years of
difference.
real estate and when you've had 900 closings in 4 years, you've just heard about everything that can be heard. So I just took everything that I heard and wrote down the best thing to say to that homeowner, that seller, or even the agents that sometimes we work with.
Exactly.
We have to help
but
them.
y'all, the thing is on the calls, like when you throw that script out and then you hear all these very successful people with all these closings chiming in with their stories about how it worked, that builds your confidence
It does.
and you don't feel like you're selling. You go back to, I can't wait to help somebody. And this is the way that successful agents, based on really coaching with you, using your scripts, but talking it through with you, Andrew, because you are very discerning and you can see a lot of times what is stopping someone from being the confident agent to be able to help more people than they're helping today if they want to.
Absolutely, and again, I've walked up to people that tomorrow I'll walk up to someone and I'll say this about them, and they'll look and say, "When have you been talking to my friends?"
I know.
Because I can see their past, and I can see a person that's had a tough life. I can see a person that's struggling with things and stuff they got going on, and sometimes I can't help somebody.
Exactly,
I
of
can't help
course.
them at that moment, but see, I'm not pushy. As long as the Lord lets me breathe and keep going, somebody asked me, when you going to retire? I said, when I get tired of this. And really right now I'm having a lot of fun.
I know.
Because Matt Levin here in Atlanta, I've worked with him for years. And Matt said to me recently, he goes, you love it right now because so many people are successful. And I said, that's why I do 5 calls a week. My coaching contract calls for 1 call a week for 15 minutes. And since July the 12th of last year, I've done a call 5 days a
Well,
week.
I know it's changing lives.
Yeah.
I
it
mean,
is.
but look, you just doubled your top producers too.
Yeah. The call this morning was people that have gone from 30 transactions. 4 years ago there was 4 years ago there were 30, now they're 80. 4 years ago there was 100, now they're 200. 4 years ago there was 78, now they've already had 78 closings this year.
What I love about those other calls, though, is, of course, the one-on-one coaching calls are invaluable, but being able to hear other successful people,
Every day.
I mean, there's magic in that, you know?
It is. It's and you know what? And when you have people that I've so many times I've done a call on Friday, and I didn't know this for years. You got to remember, it was only 2 years ago I started doing multiple calls. But I've had so many people call me on Friday afternoon and go, well, really, I wasn't going to go to work today, but because of the coach call, I got on the phone and I got 3 appointments. And I wouldn't have got those 3 appointments if I hadn't gone on that. So having someone to encourage you,
Yes.
having someone to push you some. Look, I'll go ahead and say, there's a times you can encourage, but finally you have to say, let's go do it. Okay, I call it chasing them a little bit, chasing them to get them to change. I remember one time I had a guy come to a seminar, and he'd been in my class, and I said, I'm not going to coach you anymore. Can you imagine a coach, a trainer in the United States saying, don't send me any more money? But that's what I did. But that morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock, I knew I was going to do this because I call it that moment that I kind of push someone off a cliff, and either they grab hold or I may never see them again. Now, I don't want them to let go. I want them to grab hold because I knew what he could do. And so I went, as soon as the program started, I said, don't send me any more money, Alan. I'm kicking you out of coaching. And then I just did my seminar. And he came to me at lunch and said, will you give me one more chance? I said, no. And so when I carried my box out that afternoon, he said, can I carry your box out? And I said, yeah. He said, will you give me one more chance? Now, here's what I did to a 35-year-old man. I said, go home tonight and write down, every day is the key. 500 times. Now, can you imagine a grown man going home and in front of his new bride, he just got married, and his wife told him, I tell him that man where to go. And it wasn't a nice place where she was going to tell me to go. But let me say this. I know when I meet someone what their potential is. Now, let's understand, this man had been in real estate 10 years and never made over $100,000. And the last 10 years, because it was 10 years ago I did it, he's never made under $300,000.
Wow.
His name's Alan Schwartz. We called him in Greenville, South Carolina. He'll tell you. But see, I knew he could do so much more than 20 closings. And now he averages between 50 and 70 every year.
That's amazing.
And it's just that.
And it was always inside him. I think that's the important thing to remember is it was always inside him. He just didn't know how to let it come out. And that's what you do is you pull it out of people.
It was. And I tell people all the time, even my top producers, I say, you're capable of doing more.
Yes.
Every person I know is capable of doing more than they think they can.
Right, if they want to. If they want to.
Yeah, if they want to. But some people have given, some people give up on life at 30, or some people give up at 40, and some people give up at 50. Well, we never give up.
Exactly.
And I get up every day to get better. And so I say there's 3 things to change your life: to get better, follow my program, and when you fall down, get back up.
Get up.
And there's no one falling down more than me in this world. There's no one failed more than me. How many thousands of people that told me no? How many thousands of times people didn't do? But I just never. No today does not mean no tomorrow.
No, it does not.
Some will, some won't. So what next?
Next.
And most people have problems when a person does. Never take real estate personal. Okay, that's a big.
I love that lesson because I think that one point you tell people that all the time. Don't take it personal, and don't get personally attached to the outcome.
Yeah, don't take that. That's I have 7.
I still remember.
You got it. You do. Don't be attached to the outcome. Be engaged in the process.
Yes,
that's it. I'm never attached to the outcome. And when you finally get someone not to be attached, because they go out there and they don't get to listen. What did I do wrong? No, you didn't necessarily do anything wrong. Some people are not going to do business with you. I don't care who you are. I mean, you made me think of a story when you were talking about one of my. I went out to a house near the end of my career in selling real estate, and I told the people the price, and it was $128. And a brand new agent from Century 21, she went out there, I can even remember her name, Brenda Merchant, and she listed it for $145. And I called him up and said, Mr. Thames, he said, Andrew, we liked you, but we just liked her energy. She just said she could get it, and I knew he couldn't get 145. I knew he couldn't probably get 128, but he didn't list. But see, here's what I didn't say. Well, you should have listed with me. All right. I always say, well, thank you for the opportunity. Let me finish the rest of the story. They sold the house. And he called me up and he said, Andrew, I sold my house. I said, that's great. And he said, we want you to represent us buying a house. And I said, well, it sold for $125. And he said, so he bought a house. He bought a listing I had. Then he had to sell 6 months later. I sold his house to a person who had 3 houses. I had 9 transactions out of a listing I didn't get.
Because you were honest.
And friendly.
Yes.
And again, don't ever burn that bridge
when
they don't make listen, people aren't always smart and people don't always make the right decision. But that doesn't mean you can't do business with them in the future.
And you can still be respectful, kind, honor them. I mean, there's just no reason to take it personal. And it's a lot easier to act that way when you're not taking it personal and saying, I can't believe you. You know what I mean? It's just everything happens for a reason. Exactly.
They're more great. And if you ever believe that, truly believe there are more great prospects, then you're not stressed when you don't get that.
Yes, we just move on.
You're not attached, and you don't have to go out and lower your commission, and you don't have to clean the toilets, and you don't have to cut the grass, and you can just find the next person that wants to do business with you as a professional.
Exactly. Well, Andrew, we can't thank you enough. Solid Source, what an honor, and it's just such a blessing to have you here.
Michelle, it's my honor. It truly is. And it's one thing you are. You're always upbeat. You're always friendly. You're always helpful. In 26 years, I know 1,000 owners and managers.
I'm sure.
And I don't say this to make you feel good. You're the best.
Oh, thank you.
I can tell it, and all this time, you're the best because you continue to help people. You care more about them than some of them care about themselves. And you care more about them than sometimes you care about yourself because you are one thing more than anything else. You're a giver.
Thank you.
And I always say, you can't outgive God.
That 100%.
And you can't. And when you give to people, you get more blessings back than any time in your life. So you've been truly blessed too.
I have been so blessed. Yeah. And Solid Source family, y'all know that. We know that. I mean, can you believe January will be 20 years? 20.
Unbelievable.
We praise God so much. You know, we thank Him most of all for being our solid source. That's where our name came from.
You've been through the fire.
Yeah, we have. I know. When you were talking about the different recessions, I'm like, yeah, I would. This is my third one. You know, it's just like, well, we just, you know,
if you're in real estate long enough, the market's going to change.
It's going to change.
But can I say one thing about that?
Please.
Just when the market changes, don't change.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yes.
the right things. Doesn't matter if the market's going straight up or straight down or level. If you come in and do the right things, you will
consistently, just over and over and over.
You'll never be out of business.
No.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We're so grateful for you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Love y'all. Thank you, Andrew.